So, Mike here at Legends of the Autobahn, and we're talking today with Cameron.
How's it going, everybody?
So, Cameron, how long have you been a member of the CCA?
First year I signed up was 2013 when I moved to the Bay Area. My dad was renewing his membership, and he's like, and he didn't know that he was that I wasn't a member at the time. So
you came.
He was like, yeah.
Sucked in by the family.
Yeah, I've been into BMWs since literally as long as I can remember. Started when I was about 2 years old.
2 years old.
Yeah.
All right, so now you're the East Bay rep.
Yep.
So if you're going out to East Bay, basically Cars and Coffee and Moraga, I think it's the usual spot.
That's the usual spot. It's really quiet, no issues with police or anything, and plenty of space, and it's a really nice, quiet neighborhood. So,
right, so I guess for those that don't know, what does a area rep do for the club?
So what I do as the rep is I just, I try and get people to join the club. I welcome new members, and because a lot of people come through the Cars and Coffee events that aren't even a member of the car club, and they usually don't know that it's even a thing. So, like, for example, last month when I had the last one in Moraga, these two ladies came by, and they're driving a Jaguar SUV, but they stopped and they're like, hey, is this like a BMW club from this area? And they were really curious, and I walked up and I told them, like, yeah, check out the Facebook page, and they had no idea, and they were like, cool, we're gonna sign up, and they both were they're actually gonna come by on this coming Sunday when I host it.
Right. And so if you're not down here in Monterey, you can meet Cameron again.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess it won't even air before that, but you'll find Moraga, any Cars and Coffee, Moraga, or I guess Niles sometimes.
Yeah, every once in a while Niles, it's a little tight there.
Yeah.
And the neighborhoods kind of complain about people speeding out of there and stuff.
Some people with loud, I don't know, maybe
the loud cars.
M5s, for example. We won't name names here. All right, so now we talked about that. Why don't we talk about the car that you have here on display at Legend? So E24
M6, 88. Got about 83,000 original miles on it.
Okay, so you're not the original owner, right?
No, I am not the original owner. I'm too young.
Right. So how did you come about getting this car? What was the, I guess, inspiration for coming to an E24 M6?
So it all started, my whole legacy with BMW and the E24 in general started when I was 2 years old. My dad had an 89 635 CSI, black on gray, same color combo as this M6 here. And my dad and my mom used to tell me stories about when I was 2 years old. They'd say I would beg my dad to put me in the black BMW to drive fast and play Metallica really loud.
Sounds good.
And that's where it all started. My dad had the 89 635 for a number of years. He sold that and he bought his first E24 M6, which was another 88. It was in a Barrett red with the tan interior. And he had that car pretty much my entire childhood in the garage. So we used to go on like Sunday drives in it, and I was just, for as long as I can remember, the E24 has always been around in the garage. And this specific car, so after a number of years, my dad ended up selling his first E24 M6, and he sold it to renovate his kitchen, and he always regretted selling it. And after I got my first car, which was actually a 190E Mercedes, was my first car, because my grandpa was getting rid of it, and he was always a big Mercedes guy, my dad's dad.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here.
Yes.
But continue.
And so I had that throughout high school, and then after I got out of high school, I was like, I really want to get a BMW.
Right.
So when I was learning how to drive, I was looking at E24s. I really wanted a 635.
Yeah, because basically that's what you grew up with.
Yeah, it's what I grew up with.
The only BMW you really knew, right?
Exactly. It's the only BMW I really knew. And, as I got into driving and everything, I learned more and more about the brand in general and more than just E24. But after a couple years, I sold my 190E. I bought an E36, which I had for a year. And I sold that and I bought my first E24, which was an 86 635 Arctic Blue automatic sports seats. And I had that. And when I bought that re-sparked my dad's want for an E24. So after I bought my first E24, we went out and we found this car that's sitting here in front of us today.
Awesome.
And we found this car on Craigslist. It had just been brought over from Arizona and transferred to a California title, and my dad found it. It had about 71,000 original miles on it, and this was probably late 2011 when we found this car, and he bought it, and he had this car for about 4 years. And then he bought another 88 M6, a red on gray one from the original owner, and that car only had about 32,000 miles on it when he found that car, or rather I found that car because I was always surfing Craigslist for more E24 stuff.
As one does.
Yes, it's an addiction for sure.
Yes.
Once you go to a shark, you never go back. And then after a number of years, my dad decided having two E24 M6s is rather silly. So he ended
I
up.
don't know if it's too silly, but
It's not too silly. I told him it wasn't silly, but he was like,
three.
he should have five.
Five, yeah, one for every weekday.
Yeah, exactly. One in different color for every day of the week. And so he ended up selling this black M6 to a gentleman in Lafayette, and we stayed in contact with him. We saved his contact info, and just in case he ever changed his mind.
So like getting a right of first refusal.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So skip a couple years, we're at Monterey 2016 for the 100-year anniversary of BMW, and my dad and I start talking about how much of a mistake it was that we had sold this car, because he knew I always wanted it, and he knew I always wanted an M6, and the black on gray was always my favorite color combo, and I liked the fact that it was my dad's car and I wanted to keep it in the family. But at the time I was still going to school, and he just didn't think it was going to be a financially smart decision, so that's why he sold it to somebody else.
That's probably the right move at the time.
Yeah, at the time I agree, for sure. And then so after the 2016 100-year anniversary of BMW, I went and looked up the guy's phone number that we had saved, and I gave him a call. And funny enough, when I called him, he's like, yeah, actually, I just bought a new Audi A7, and I was going to call you guys next week because I only have one space in the garage, and I never drive the M6 anymore, and I'd really like to go back to the family, and I really like the whole father-son connection with the car that you and your dad share, and I'd really like to sell back to you guys if you're interested. And then a couple weeks later, we met up in Lafayette, and we bought the car back, and the rest is history. And now it's
right. And I think you've done like a lot of work in this too. So why don't we walk towards here? So the wheels obviously aren't original, but they're BBS.
Yeah. They were mounted on the car in the early '90s. They've been on the car since about '91. So because the dealer used to sell BBS wheels as an aftermarket option back in the '80s. So factory, this car would have had the 16-inch TRX wheels. Metric tires.
I'm looking over all the other M6s or E24s here. I think
a lot of different wheel options. There's only one here, I believe, that's running the factory metric tires, and it's all the way at the end there. It's another 88.
Yeah.
So
I think it's in the video somewhere. But.
Right, but the metric tires are really unpopular because they're really expensive, and only Michelin makes them, and they're like $1,200 a set, and they're not good tires anyway. They're not really a good design anymore.
Sport 4S's or something like that.
Exactly.
So it's not worth the price.
It was really popular to go to a standard style wheel so you can run normal, non-metric size tires.
All right.
So wheels are original to the car anyway. They were bought new and then put on this car, and they've been on it ever since.
Awesome.
Paint is mostly original. The hood's been repainted because of rock chips and all that kind of stuff.
It happens over time. I mean, it's an old car, and you drive it a lot.
30 years old now.
Yeah.
But the interior is all original. Nothing in the interior has been altered at all. The shift knob's new, but all the seating, all the leather trim, the dash, the steering wheel, all original to the car. It's never been restored. Everything works. The heated seats work, all the power windows work, all the seat functions, memory seating, air conditioning. It's all there and it all works.
This is an amazing looking car. Because I remember my first drive, I think it was before the picnic last year. I think you were driving this one and it broke down.
Well, what happened was my driver's side front fog light, the bolts, someone had replaced the fog light and they installed the bolts wrong, and they backed out of the back of the housing because they're supposed to be mounted through the front, so if they loosen, they don't fall out. And they'd been installed the wrong direction, so over time the bolts fell out, and then my whole fog light fell out of the air dam, and I ran it over, and it's made of glass and metal, so when it blew up, it actually popped my left rear tire, and I had to pull over. It went flat, and that's when I texted Athena and everybody, and I was like, hey, I just blew out a tire, I can't continue to drive with the barbecue, I'm gonna have to. I ended up having to put on my original spare, which is a TRX tire, funny enough. So I side of the road, jacked up my car, put the TRX, drove to a gas station, checked the air pressure on the spare, and then I drove it home, and then I called around and I ended up finding a new fog light that same day from 002 Salvage over in Hayward, and I drove down, bought a new fog light, put it right in, and then that Monday I went to my local wheel works because I had bought the tires through them and I had a warranty on the tires, so they replaced my tire free of charge.
Right, so the back end looks fantastic too. Got the nice big M6 badge.
Yes.
And the exhaust looks crazy insane.
It is. It's a 3-inch catback made by Billy Boat. So it's a full stainless system, both right at the caps and comes all the way back. It's nice and loud, but not too droney, but it definitely gives the M6 the voice it deserves. It really makes that S38 sound noticeable to everyone around. And actually at low RPM, when I'm coming down the hill from my house in second gear, it actually sets off car alarms from the frequency
That's great.
of how low it is.
It gives you that nice big smile.
Yeah, it does.
Sure, right?
Every time I drive by, there's this one Ford Explorer that the alarm goes off every time I drive it down the hill.
And you just smile and laugh
I just
every
smile,
single time,
laugh,
right?
And then I accelerate very rapidly.
As one does. This is just a fantastic car.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time cleaning up the paint and everything. I do all my own mechanical work, and I do all my own detailing just because.
Right. Yeah. So if you're friends with Cameron on Facebook or even on Instagram, you follow him there, you'll see all his work, all his detailing work. I think you just had done your lights, headlights for the E60, right?
Yeah, I polished and sanded my E60 headlights last week, and then last weekend I took my taillights apart on my M6 here, and I restored all the housings and repainted them so they're nice and reflective and even looking. And
it looks fantastic.
I polished the paint and the tail pipes and the whole deal.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time, but it's a lot of
time, but it's a lot of love put into the car, and it shows. And you know, it gives me peace of mind because it's not that I trust people that do it for a living, but it's just I can't help but worry about and think.
It's like, what if they did something wrong?
Right. I'd rather do it myself, because that way if something happens, makes a mistake, I only have myself to blame and not somebody else.
Right.
So.
This is awesome. Hey, Cameron, I want to thank you for taking the time to
No,
talk
thank
to us
you.
about this.
Absolutely.
I guess one parting question is, what do you think is the best thing about the club?
The people. I mean, I meet new people every time. Every time I host an event, there's a new person, a new face that comes by, and you make new connections, and you end up networking. It becomes more than just a club. It's a really close group of friends.
Basically friends for life.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I mean,
brought together by the cars.
Yeah, the brand and the cars bring the people, and that's what it's all about: is meeting the new people and welcoming new people to the brand and getting people out and making them realize that BMW drivers aren't all mean.
Yeah, we're not all a-holes who don't signal.
Right.
We're friendly people.
My turn signals are well used.
Yes, mine too. I don't know about you guys out there, but I do use mine. All right, so thanks, Cameron. It's a pleasure talking to you. All right.